Well, hey y'all, welcome to Southern Gmoregals. I'm Elizabeth, and in our video today, we have 4 fall and Halloween budget-friendly DIYs. If you're new to our channel, we want to welcome you here, and if you're returning and already a subscriber, we want to say thank you. We really appreciate anyone that's supporting our channel, and if you're not already a subscriber, go ahead and hit that red button, and let's get started with our first DIY. For DIY number 1, I'm making my reversible sign, and I'm really excited about this sign. It cost me under $3 to make this sign. So one side is going to be the fall side, and that's the one we're going to start with. And then you can flip it over for Halloween. So great way to have something reversible to use for kind of 2 seasons here. But I purchased these items from the Dollar Tree, the sign with the cutout pumpkin, and then I purchased this sign that has 3 pumpkins with the footballs. I just cut off the 3 pumpkins, and I'm going to paint those. 2 of them I'm using the Waverly chalk paint orange, and then one of them I'm using the Waverly off-white paint. And I just used some brown paint there to do a stem, and then I'm using some of the Waverly white wax and then some of the Waverly antiquing wax to go over and make those ridges and kind of give it some contrast in my pumpkins. And here you'll see I'm going to switch over to the antique wax. I did that a little bit heavier right around where the stem is at. And on the white pumpkin, I'm just using the antiquing wax. I didn't use any of the white wax on the off-white pumpkin because it won't show up real good there. And once I got my pumpkins painted, I'm using these stencils. I actually found these at a thrift store, and they were only $1.25. So awesome deal. They're little Martha Stewart stencils. And I decided to use black for my lettering. So I'm going to put "It's Fall, Y'all." So that's what I'm doing here, going with my stencils. And I love this font. I love the kind of cursive curvy lines. So these turned out great. Here you can see the F. And here's a little closer look at my pumpkins after I got them all painted and got the lettering on here. Next, we're going to go to attach these. And what I did was I used my glue gun with just a real thin layer, but I would recommend using like E6000 glue or some Gorilla Glue, probably instead of the glue gun or maybe in addition to the glue gun, just to hold these on there a little bit better. They are just slightly heavy, so E6000 glue or the Gorilla Glue or something, you really need in addition to the glue gun just to get these in place good. I was in a little bit of a hurry, so all you're going to see me using here is the glue gun, but they didn't want to stay on great with the glue gun, so then I went back and put some of the E6000 glue. I added that to that. So to start with, use that. You can use them both together just to give you a nice secure hold on your pumpkins here. And I kind of positioned these first, so definitely space them out. Make sure you kind of know where you want them. And I gave them all a little bit of a slight turn there. And here they are once I got them attached here onto my sign. I wanted a little bit of something else. If you don't have stamps or you want to leave this plain, it still looks great just like it is like this. But I have found at the thrift store they have a craft section and they have some awesome stamps. So in my last DIY, I used a little leaf stamp, and I thought those would look great, like some falling leaves through here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to add a couple of the little leaves here in between the pumpkins. And these little stamps, a lot of them are only like between 25 to 75 cents. Some of them may be $1, $1.50. But this stamp is one of the leaves I used in my last video. And I'm just taking some of that antiquing wax. And I'm just going to go over my stamp here. And then I'm going to put 3 different stamps of, or 3 different prints of this stamp here on my sign. And I felt like 3 of those stamp leaves was enough, so I just have 3 on here. And then I'm going to take a little bit of the Waverly antiquing wax and just go over it really lightly on the sign, especially on the corners and around the edge of the sign. And all I'm doing is I have a large chunky brush from the Dollar Tree, so I'm just really quickly and lightly going over my sign here. And I'm just using a large chunky brush from the Dollar Tree and the antiquing wax and just really lightly going over this here. I realized I didn't say what I used for my background, but for the original background here of the sign, it was black. So I took some heirloom white spray paint, and that's the color that the back or that the actual sign is painted behind those pumpkins. And you don't have to use a spray paint. You could use some chalk paint or, whatever paint you've got on hand is what I'd encourage you to use. And if you don't have the antiquing wax and the stamp, you can skip those steps. It still looks great without those. But here's my finished reveal. I love the way this looks. It makes it even awesome that you can flip it around and have it something different on the back. But I really like the saying. I think the stencils look great. I you can't really even tell that that's a stencil. I think the colors coordinate together great. But let's go on and let me show you the Halloween one. So I found these window decals. I found these at Walmart, and they're only 98 cents. Wow. And the color looks great. They're nice and bright orange, and they have some really cute faces, and then they have the trick or treat on here too. So I thought that was great. I originally planned to use the black side of the sign, to leave one side black and put these on there, but I didn't think you could see them really good, and I love the way that they stood out on the white background that they originally came on. So we decided to paint this other side white. So this side I'm using a bright white. I'm actually using the plaster shade of white chalk paint on this side, but you could use a spray paint. If you really want to see the brightness of that orange of the pumpkins, though, I would lighten your sign and not leave it black. And then all I'm going to do is I'm taking some Mod Podge, and I got this from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just putting that on this the side that I want to stick down on my pumpkin. Then you want to be sure you get all those bubbles, because these are really bad, these decals, to get some bubbles under there. So take your hands, run it across here a few times just to make sure that you've gotten all those bubbles out. I'm tilting mine just a little bit, kind of giving those a little bit of a turn. And then I'm going to go back and take the Mod Podge, and you want to cover this really good. You want to put a lot on here. It looks like it's white and stuff right now, but it's going to dry clear, so you won't see all that whiteness once this gets dried. But you want to be sure you cover it really good with a lot of the Mod Podge, so this sticks good, so you don't have any of those corners curling up or don't have your decal coming off of here. And I'm just going to continue to do this with several of the pumpkins here. I think there were actually 5 on the sign, and not all of those will fit, or 5 of them on the sheet of decals, and not all of those will fit on here. I had 2 left over that I hopefully will be able to use for some other projects. So pick out the ones that you like the best. I kind of laid these out on my sign and positioned them the way that I wanted them before I started gluing things down. So make sure you have things kind of positioned where you want them before you start gluing this, because once this Mod Podge gets on there, a lot of times it's stuck on here really good once you do all this. So you want to have them exactly like you want them first. And I turned these just a little bit from side to side. The decals on the sheet, it also has some cute little bats, and it has a couple little stars. And if you didn't want to use the trick or treat, you could leave that off there and just do pumpkins. I wasn't going to put that on there at first, but we really liked the way it looked on there when I put it on there. So if you didn't want it to say trick or treat, you could just have pumpkins on here. And here you can see a little bit better view of the little stars there, and then the little bats. And the sign has 2 little holes here in the top, and I had taken some wood filler and filled those holes in before I'd ever painted this. And I'm just putting the bats there in the top, and here he is. I think this turned out so cute. And for, under $3, you can't beat that. And if you don't want to have the fall side, the pumpkins on the other side, then this would only cost you $1.98 to make. You can't get any better than that. And it being reversible, it really gives you your bang for your buck. So let's move on to our next DIY. Now for this DIY, I'm going to use the sign there, the square, but I'm using the opposite side as what I'm going to paint. And then I also found the sign and this little cat. Both of these came from the Dollar Tree. And I've not seen this little cat before at my store, so I don't know if they were sold out last year or if this is a new one for them. But I thought this was a really cute little wooden cat here with a little jack-o'-lantern. Now for the square sign, I'm just using an off-white Waverly chalk paint, and for my cat here, I just used some black paint, and then I'm using the pumpkin chalk paint for the darker pumpkin, and I'm just mixed some of that with some white to do the center part. And then you can see some yellow in there for like the little jack-o'-lantern face. And then I used some brown paint on the stem. The circle part of the pumpkin here, where I used the lighter shade of orange, where I mixed those 2 together. I would use some of the dark though there. I kind of splotched that around just so it wasn't a real solid shade. Then I took some green paint and put on his little eyes. And next, I just took some of the Waverly, the white wax, and just kind of went around the outline of the cat, the edge there, just to give him a little bit more of a weathered type look. And I'm going to make him some little whiskers. I just have some pieces of that raffia, and I just kind of twisted them a little bit smaller and cut those off and used my glue gun to make him some whiskers. And here on the top, I just used the raffia and twisted it in a knot there and hot glued a little piece there on with some berries. And then I'll show you I have a sheet that has some pumpkins, and it had that little pumpkin with the bat in the middle. I thought, because it was already black, I thought it looked good right there. But you can see his little whiskers there. I just put 3 on each side, and that's just the raffia with the glue gun. And then I took some of the antiquing Waverly wax again with that big chunky brush. Just kind of went over it just to give it a little bit more of a, kind of a rustic weather type look, and nice look for fall. Just kind of went around the edges a little bit heavier and the corners a little bit heavier. And for my cat, I just used my glue gun to hot glue him on here, and I kind of twisted him at a little bit of an angle so he's tilting just a little bit, but he'll fit on here straight too if you wanted him on here straight. And we're participating today in a fall challenge from Bargain Bluebird. So I have her information down in my description box along with the playlist. So check out all the other YouTubers participating today. So for this DIY, I found this little pack of wooden cats at the Dollar Tree, and there's several in here, but we're just going to use one of those, and I'm going to take some wood putty and just fill in his little hole, and then I'm going to paint him black. I also found the little ghost in my next DIY. They were in a little pack like that too. I guess it's more for garland, or you could use them for garland. Also found these really awesome little wooden pumpkins here, and they're actually a little sticker. They have a little foam sticker piece on the back. And I'm just going to use one of the largest pumpkin or the largest jack-o'-lantern for this DIY. In the previous cat DIY, you can see the little bat there, one of the little black ones that I used in that one. So all I'm going to do for my little jack-o'-lantern is I'm just painting him the Waverly chalk paint, the pumpkin shade. I'm using some yellow. I'm going to go around inside like his little jack-o'-lantern face and putting a little bit of brown where his stem is at. And this is a picture of the frame that I'm using. I wanted a frame that had a black edge around it. I'm not going to use the inside there. I found a little piece of this candy corn paper at a thrift store, so I'm just tracing around that. And that's what I'm putting out here. You can see is the background for my little cat. He turned out really cute here, and I took the glass piece out. I didn't put that back in there. You could if you wanted to. And I just used my glue gun there to glue him down. I also used some of the raffia for his little whiskers. And for the jack-o'-lantern, I just used some Waverly wax. I just kind of went around it a little bit to give it a little bit more shape or a little bit more contrast. I used some of the white wax on the cat and the antiquing wax on the jack-o'-lantern. And I just glued both of these down with my glue gun onto the candy corn paper. And I took some of the Waverly white wax and just went around the frame there. You can see just a little bit and kind of lightened up that black. Now this is just a really quick DIY. I purchased this little canvas here from the Dollar Tree, and then you could see there in the top was the little wooden ghost. For the canvas, I just removed it. It has little staples in it. I took those out. And I just used a little screwdriver to pop those off, and then I just trimmed around that extra canvas there. And then the frame, if you flip it over, the other side doesn't have those staple holes. So that's the side that you're going to see here with my little ghost. I just painted my canvas there a black, and then I'm leaving the frame the wooden color. I painted my little ghost, the Waverly chalk paint, the plaster shade, and I took a little bit of black there and went around his eyes and his mouth and just kind of edged it around the bottom of him. And then you'll see here I just took a little bit of that raffia and tied it in a knot there, glued that on with my glue gun, and put a little bow there with the buffalo check plaid. And then everything's just hot glued on there. The little ghost, he's glued inside there with my glue gun, and then the bow and the raffia is glued on the top there. So I usually have a big final reveal with everything together, but it got dark on me today, so I'm just going to show you everything separate again. We hope you enjoyed our video today. I hope I gave you some inspiration for some great fall and Halloween DIYs that are budget friendly. We want to say thank you to the Bargain Bluebird for hosting the challenge today. Don't forget to check out her channel and check out the playlist of the other YouTubers participating in the challenge today. If you're new to Southern gmoregals, we'll hope you hit that red subscribe button. Turn your notifications on. We have a third Thursday thrift flip with the Rusted Willow. That video will be out on the 16th, so another video is coming out this week. And we want to thank everybody for watching. If you're already a subscriber here, thank you for supporting our channel. If you're new here, we'd love to have you subscribe. Thanks for watching. Hope y'all have a great fall.